Hello, my name is Jan Wilson. I'm the chair of the board of Parks and Recreation Ontario. Parks and Recreation Ontario, or PRO, is a provincial non-profit association representing 6,500 professionals, volunteers, and students in recreation, parks, conservation, health promotion, and allied sectors. PRO's members come from municipalities across the province who provide service to more than 80% of Ontarians. PRO is the provincial voice for recreation and parks and provides policy leadership, training, resources, and quality assurance to our membership and beyond. Whether you are a first-time elected official or a long-serving member of council, this presentation provides you with essential knowledge on how parks and recreation contribute to healthy people and vibrant communities. It will introduce key trends and show how your decisions about parks and recreation services can help enhance the quality of life for your citizens. On behalf of the Board of PRO, thank you for serving your municipality and for taking the time to recognize the important role that parks and recreation play in our daily lives. So get your pen and notebook ready and I'll hand you over to our presenter, Rick Phillips.
Thank you, Jan. My name is Rick Phillips, and I'll be your host for this presentation. We have a lot to cover, and here's an overview of what's in store over the next 30 minutes or so. You'll gain essential knowledge about parks and recreation and its many benefits to individuals and your community. We'll introduce you to the important framework for recreation in Canada, highlight trends and issues that you might see in your community, and what you can do to address some of today's most important issues. At the end of the presentation, there will be a list of links to all the resources discussed today. Back in the 1980s, in the National Recreation Statement, the federal government recognized the constitutional responsibility of the provinces and territories in recreation services. The National Recreation Statement goes on to recognize that municipalities, as the level of government closest to the people, should be the main delivery agent for recreation and parks. It reads, quote, "The basic role of the municipality is to ensure the availability of the broadest range of recreation opportunities for every individual and group, consistent with available community resources." Close quote. In Ontario, the Municipal Act confirms that municipalities have responsibility for parks and recreation services. In general, lower-tier and single-tier municipalities provide these services. As an elected official, it's part of your job to understand the scope of parks and recreation in your community and make decisions about the provision of facilities and programs in your community. This can include everything from major capital investments to bylaws. It can all seem a little overwhelming. That's why we are here to help. This webinar, offered exclusively to PRO members, will provide you with an introduction to essential knowledge and tools that will help you make the best decisions for your community. We'll share some ideas on how you can meet today's challenges and provide you with tools to help you get there. It's just one of the special benefits of being a member of Parks and Recreation Ontario. PRO plays a leadership role in educating elected officials and staff on new legislation and regulation, trends in recreation and parks, and much more. So once you've watched this webinar, be sure to meet with staff so they can provide you with the background you need to better appreciate the range of programs, services, and facilities in your community. Parks and Recreation has the power to improve the health and well-being of citizens, promote community engagement, and stimulate local economies. In short, it offers a cost-effective way to enhance the quality of life for all citizens. Your citizens know this. 98% of them believe that recreation and parks are essential services, and Ontarians alone spend $4 billion every year on recreation, sport, and fitness. An investment in parks and recreation is an investment in your community's economic, social, and personal well-being. Recreation and parks attract and retain businesses and families, drive tourism, and increase property values. The parks and recreation industry employs close to 60% of those in the arts, entertainment, and recreation sector in Ontario, and this number is projected to grow in the next 2 years. Recreation and parks help build strong and vibrant communities through social inclusion, volunteerism, and civic pride. And, of course, recreation and parks are good for our health. Being outdoors in a park or on a trail has shown to reduce anxiety and promote better mental and physical health. Children and youth that participate in out-of-school recreation programs do better in class and are less likely to rely on other social services. Recreation has the potential to address socio-demographic challenges and troubling issues such as increases in sedentary behavior and obesity, decreased contact with nature, threats to the environment, and inequities that limit participation. Next, we will learn about the essential resource to help you turn these challenges into opportunities: the Framework for Recreation in Canada. The framework is the fundamental document for public recreation providers. It provides a common vision for recreation and invites collaboration in the pursuit of common goals. It also helps communities improve the well-being of their citizens, the community, and to revitalize its built and natural environments. The framework was developed after 4 years of national consultations. It was endorsed in 2014 by the provincial and territorial governments and supported by the Federal Minister of Sport. Many municipalities have adopted the framework and are using it every day to guide decision-making and investments. The framework provides a galvanizing vision that all citizens will be engaged in meaningful, inclusive, and accessible recreation. It is founded on values and principles that will ensure equity and good decision making. The Framework for Recreation in Canada has 5 goal areas. The goal areas are active living, inclusion and access, connecting people and nature, supportive environments, and recreation capacity. Each of the goal areas has a number of priorities for action. These priorities are not prescriptive. They are broad and inclusive so that every municipality can use them to set local priorities and action plans. After the framework was released, stakeholders asked for tools to help with implementation. The Framework Municipal Audit tool provides all the information needed to align resources, programs, and services with the priorities of the framework. It can be used for everything from staff development to budgeting to strategic planning. It shows how your municipality is aligned with the framework and how you can track progress on the priorities in your community. In the spring of 2019, Pro will be launching an enhanced tool which will be shared with all Pro members. Next, let's look at some of the trends that are affecting municipal parks and recreation today. Recreation infrastructure in Ontario is in a state of physical decline. A recent study was released by the Federation of Canadian Municipalities with contributions from the Canadian Parks and Recreation Association. It revealed that nearly half of Canada's sport and recreation facilities owned by municipalities are in poor or fair condition. These facilities are less efficient, more expensive to operate, and sometimes can even put the public at risk because of unsafe equipment. The cost to simply upgrade and renovate Ontario's aging recreation infrastructure is estimated to be $6 billion and climbing. Many Ontario municipalities are struggling to balance the infrastructure funding gap with the need for high-quality parks, trails, and recreation facilities. Federal and provincial governments have made some investments in sport and recreation infrastructure, but there is a recognized need for ongoing, stable funding. In Ontario, the Gas Tax Fund provides one opportunity for investing in healthy communities. The Federal Gas Tax Fund is a permanent source of funding for municipal infrastructure. It is predictable, long-term, and stable, and is helping Ontario's municipal governments address a massive province-wide infrastructure deficit, while improving environmental sustainability and creating jobs and economic growth. Since 2014, the Federal Gas Tax Fund has provided municipalities with access to annual funding that can be applied to recreation and parks infrastructure projects. These charts show the number and types of projects funded through the gas tax, which is administered by the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. While this is good news in general, the figures show that on average only 1% of all gas tax funding is used for recreation facilities, funding just 1/3 of the total project cost for construction or renovation. 2/3 of money came from local partnerships or the tax base. The gas tax fund isn't enough to close the infrastructure funding gap. Parks and Recreation Ontario and the Canadian Parks and Recreation Association are advocating for ongoing provincial and federal funding specifically for recreation. Here are some things you can do in your community. Ask staff to take you on a tour of your facilities, both new and old. Find out what your long-term infrastructure needs are. Learn about your asset management plan and reporting. The Federal Gas Tax Fund requires Ontario municipalities to develop and implement asset management plans and report outcomes to AMO. Elected officials can share concerns about the infrastructure funding gap for recreation and parks with your local MPP, or your municipality can make a deputation with Provincial Minister of Infrastructure or Municipal Affairs at a provincial conference. Author and former architecture critic for the Toronto Star, Christopher Hume, wrote, "If the 20th century was dedicated to buildings, the 21st will be about the spaces between them." Parks, trails, and natural spaces are no longer seen as civic frills, but urban necessities. More than 80% of Ontarians live in urban centres, and we are just rediscovering the restorative powers of connecting people with nature. You might have read Richard Louve's transformational book, Last Child in the Woods, where he coined the phrase nature deficit disorder. But access to nature isn't just good for kids, it's essential for all. A crucial concept in parks planning is connectedness. Creating a community with a connected hierarchy of trails, parks, and natural spaces will create a healthier, more sustainable environment. It will provide your citizens with more opportunities to connect with nature and be active outdoors. Let's look at some resources that your municipality can use to enhance your parks and open spaces. Many municipalities are seeking better ways to collect and manage data about their open spaces. Parks and Recreation Ontario is pleased to be working with Yardstick, a company that is helping municipalities across Ontario. Yardstick is a benchmarking tool that delivers need-to-know information for your community to inform your decision-making and improve your service delivery. It enables you to collect, share, and compare vital information so you can measure current performance and target future improvements. In an increasingly data-driven sector, Yardstick helps you compare your processes and performance metrics with best practices from organizations and municipalities across Canada. Park People is a charity that has long supported the development of urban parks. They are working nationally now and have great research and resources to assist municipalities with everything from putting on events in local parks to planning and financing. Finally, Parks and Recreation Ontario published a guidebook on the design of public spaces standard under the AODA. If you are renovating or installing new playgrounds or upgrading trails, this resource is your first stop to help you understand the legislative requirements. Risk management is one of the most complex issues facing municipal councils, and liability and risk management issues can cost a municipality millions of dollars. Joint and several liability continues to be a major concern for municipalities, who can be left on the hook for 100% of damages awarded, even if they are found to be only 1% at fault. The Association of Municipalities of Ontario has taken a leadership role in advocating for reform of joint and several legislation. At Parks and Recreation Ontario, we have been providing municipalities with the training and tools they need to help mitigate risk through the High 5 quality standard. This standard has been adopted by more than 300 municipalities and organizations in Ontario, and more than 1 million children are enrolled in programs using High 5. Not only does this standard help mitigate risk, it ensures that program participants are having a positive experience. We know that people who have a positive experience are more likely to return. For the first time in Canadian history, people over the age of 65 outnumber those under the age of 15. Ontario municipalities are having to change in order to ensure that they can meet the needs of an older population. Keeping people healthy and active as they age also keeps them engaged in the community. With this in mind, Parks and Recreation Ontario has added new training and resources to the High 5 quality standard to support those who work with older adults. Be sure that your staff members know about High 5 for kids and for older adults. High 5 is recognized across Canada as the standard for quality programs. There are many reasons for your municipality to invest in High 5 training and tools for staff. First, you'll see the results in better programs with fewer complaints and more repeat customers. Staff members have access to relevant policies to manage risk. There is higher staff satisfaction and retention for organizations using High 5. You'll also be recognized as a leader in quality programs in your community and across the province. Swimming is an essential and life-saving skill that everyone should have. It helps keep people fit and it keeps them safe in and around water. The World Health Organization recognizes drowning as a public health issue. In Canada, water-related fatalities are decreasing, but non-fatal incidents still occur in pools and on open water. It's important that we immunize our communities against drowning and non-fatal incidents in the water. Here's what you can do in your community, whether it's at a pool or lakefront. Ensuring that municipal facilities have qualified, fully trained lifeguards and swim instructors. Offering Swim to Survive programs at no or low cost so that all Ontarians can learn this vital skill. Rural municipalities face a unique set of challenges and opportunities. Some of the challenges you might face include attracting and retaining staff and volunteers. Small tax base brings challenges for raising funds for capital projects and renovating aging infrastructure. And communicating with residents about the recreational opportunities. Additionally, residents may face challenges with lack of access to transportation or programs in their area to meet their needs. Some of the opportunities to strengthen recreation can come through partnerships with neighboring municipalities to share the cost of facilities. Making the most of tourism and outdoor recreation opportunities. You can download a 2015 report by the Rural Recreation Association that captures some promising practices for sustainable rural recreation. Community recreation began as a grassroots movement to increase access for low-income families. Over time, it has become inaccessible to many of the people it was intended to serve. We need to find ways to reverse this trend. That's why PRO created this policy framework on access to recreation. The framework and accompanying guide help municipalities establish, employ, and evaluate access to recreation policies. Why does your municipality need a formal policy on access to recreation? The recreation sector in Ontario has come a long way in identifying the benefits of recreation and the barriers to participation that exist for citizens. Without a formal policy, solutions tend to occur in a patchwork way. A compelling policy can help to galvanize communities, the private sector, and government based on a shared vision for affordable recreation. Your policy can be tailored to meet community needs and doesn't have to be a big budget item. Share this resource with staff and find out how your community is already helping to remove barriers to participation. If you already have a policy that addresses barriers to recreation, you can still use the framework and guide to validate and refresh what you have in place. In this presentation, we have looked at some resources and trends. Now, here are a few things you can do to support quality recreation and parks in your municipality. Adopt the Framework for Recreation in Canada as a guiding document. Think strategically, not operationally. Staff in your municipality are the subject matter experts and will guide you with the data and information you need in your decision-making role. Visit facilities and programs with staff. Learn about the unique challenges and opportunities in your community. And be sure to take asset management planning seriously. Funding for infrastructure is in high demand, so good planning is essential in order to have a healthy, vibrant community. Support opportunities for learning and staff development. Your organization is already a member of Parks and Recreation Ontario, which provides many educational opportunities such as the annual Educational Forum and the Aquatics Conference. PRO offers special rates for elected officials at these conferences. PRO has also developed the Parks and Recreation Management Certificate Program in collaboration with the Schulich Executive Education Center at the School of Business at York University. It's perfect for municipal managers looking to enhance their skills. It focuses on the 3 pillars for successful leadership in public sector administration: communication, strategic planning, and political acuity. It introduces participants to key concepts and theories in each of the core areas, supported by research and practical case studies. Consider investing in your professional staff through this unique offering. As a member of Parks and Recreation Ontario, you are part of a network of over 6,500 professional, volunteer, and elected officials working to secure a strong future for parks and recreation in Ontario. PRO is proud to be a strong voice of municipal recreation, advocating for healthy people and communities. As a PRO member, you and your staff have access to the latest research, educational, and networking opportunities. And in 2019, Pro is launching an online knowledge exchange hub, making it easier for people to connect on today's important issues. Keep watching as the next slides contain links to all of the resources we shared with you today. Thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation and for understanding the importance of recreation and parks in your municipality. On behalf of Pro, we wish you the best of luck in your role as an elected official. Your copy of the framework and the audit tool are just one click away. Download one or both and share with your colleagues and staff. Infrastructure funding continues to be a major challenge for municipalities in Ontario. Here are the resources that you can download. Parks are an important asset in your community. These resources will help enhance the quality of your parks and outdoor events. Find out about how affordable access to recreation benefits the whole community. And if you live in a rural municipality, download this 2015 report to learn about how municipalities in Eastern Ontario are tackling the specific challenges of rural and remote communities. Find out about all of the online and in-person training opportunities that Parks and Recreation Ontario offers.
Thank you for watching this webinar. It is just one of the many resources that Parks and Recreation Ontario provides to its members to help support the delivery of quality parks and recreation across the province. We hope that you will stay connected with Pro, and if you have any questions or feedback for us, we look forward to hearing from you.